Good morning. Thank you for doing this. We've been talking all morning, some fun stuff, some sad stuff, some angry stuff, and I'm trying to laugh through all of it. And no better person who can teach us how to do that than you. So, Sumukhi, let's start by asking you. You weren't always going to be a stand-up comic. You were into food. You worked with a food lab. You had other dreams, and you kind of found yourself in comedy. But when you were about the age of our participants here, all of whom are teenage girls, school-going girls, what were those years like for you?
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me. I just said hi, hello, and that's it. And I see some amazing faces here, and I got a glimpse of like 2 minutes or 3 minutes before I joined that there was some passionate conversations going on. And that's my favorite type. It has to be on all the time. And for me, teenage, I look at you guys and your voices are so strong. You guys are so clear. Oh my God, I was a disaster when I was a teenager. Disaster, I know is a strong word. You also end up being self-critical a lot. You don't like yourself that much, or at least that's the stemming of humor. And I believe that I think my teenage years were very silent and quiet because since I grew up as a big girl, I wanted to hide myself as much as possible, that I'm not heard as much. Because you're already taking so much space that you're like, yaar, aur nahi jagah lena hai. Baatein nahi karni hai, nahi to fir gadbad ho jayegi. So, but I do believe that there was a sense of, I think, I see myself as reverse. Very predictably, everyone's expected to grow up, or at least my mother told me that when I grow up, I have to settle down, marry someone, take care of his house. And then if he has space, then, I should support him as well, which is such a scam because my mother did her chartered accountancy after marriage, after 3 kids. So she's a firecracker. So I understand her advice also. She's like, listen, I got this advice. You see, Baba, what is it for you? So for me, when I was growing up, in fact, I was managing the household a lot more. I was cooking and cleaning and I was taking care of the house.
At what age was that?
I started, I think it was in second grade, second standard, I started managing the house because my mom was doing her CA. We couldn't afford a cook. We couldn't afford anything. And she was studying and taking care of a lot of things. And then I was very bitter. But now I understand she was really managing everything. And my father wasn't in the best of mental state. My brothers were pitching in, but my eldest brother's responsibility was to grow up and take care of the debt that is accumulated. And second was to support. And mine was like, please, ghar chala le, please. And I honestly, I think what some of the best life skills I have picked up then, because I can, very few people tell you that managing a household is such a strong foundation for admin and for just operations. वो housewife बोल के निकाल देते हैं, but man, the amount of training you get just to manage people, manage expectations, and you're working 7 days a week, 24 hours. So that was my childhood. So I'm very glad that happened because I think everything sort of translated into bigger things.
You made a light-hearted joke about growing up as a big girl, and you said, "Well, already मैं बहुत जगह ले रही थी, तो मैं और जगह क्यों लूँ?" Somewhere, what you're talking about is not being comfortable enough in your own skin to basically express yourself at all times. Not today. Today, you overcompensate for that, if I may say so, in the most brilliant way. But what was that like to not feel like as a body size you were fitting in? And girls, please do put your hands up. This is a dialogue. If you have questions, thoughts, you want to share your own story, please do that. This is not a formal sort of interview in that sense. We want to hear from all of you. Sumukhi, go ahead.
The thing about body is that it's so like our beauty standards are so set कि कोई जैसे भी दिखे, पतला भी हो जाए, मोटा भी हो जाए, जैसा भी हो जाए, it's somehow a problem. Somehow you are not good enough until you look like what it is on screen. Everyone says that things are getting better. It's not, because fundamentally we've been conditioned to be like, अच्छा लड़कियां सुंदर होती हैं, सुशील होती हैं, फिर काम भी करती हैं. I'm like, अरे यार, everyone's not a संतूर girl. You don't have time to be that. So I think for me, when I was growing up, being a big girl, man, I'm being very honest that I don't think I thought my body deserved anything good. And I think that feeling is universal for any body type. And I think mine, especially for space, was such a thing. That's why in a group, I would never speak, or I would stop myself from giving my idea, because already I felt so apologetic कि मैं already आप लोग का काफी जगह ले रही हूँ और अब मैं आके अपनी चीजें भी बताऊं, you know, and it was, I think, that sort of, that took me a long time to snap out of. And also I was in a co-ed school, और लड़के तो उनको तो कहाँ ही शुरू करें, वो तो बचपन से ही ऐसे ही है, उनको तब भी समझ नहीं आ रहा, अब भी समझ नहीं आ रहा. So in that time also they were mocking, now also they're mocking. You know, all the trolls that you get on Instagram, who are they? They're all these kids only who are like, that's what's happening with them. But I think what they have taught me as a valuable lesson is very recently, I'm being very honest, that me and my journey with body has been a positive one very, very recently, like now. If you tell me like 7 months ago, I realized that I'm 35 and I'll live for 35 more years. So half my life I have spent hating myself and hating this vehicle that's really taking me forward. And this, you know, this thing that is just craving for validation, which is, and all of this, and I'm treating it so badly. And I was like, I don't want to do this for the next 35 years. I don't want to do that. I don't want that to be my legacy. Here's a girl, you know, who was a very hardworking, very hustling, but then hated her face. No, that's very sad. Yeah, we can't. So I think
And
for
you
me,
know, one of the things you said was people say things are getting better, but I actually think, and I'll take a couple of questions because I'm seeing hands go up. I actually think in the age of Instagram and beauty filters, it's actually got a lot worse. And you look at the next girl or the next woman's picture, and you say, yeah, she looks much better than me. What did I do? I didn't look after myself. I should have looked after myself better. It's an endless cycle of insecurity.
yeah. And then, so, you know, it's also just that we are sort of pitting ourselves against each other. You know, how is that the girl who's simplest looking, or quote unquote the good looking girl, thinks that she's not good looking, so she's expressing that on Instagram, and there come everyone saying that tu theek hai, mere saath bura ho raha hai. But that's what it is. The base is never about how you look. The base is about what have you been taught, what is good looking. Also, is that even a thing? Like, why? It's I think that stand-up comedy has genuinely helped me, because since I'm on stage, and I think everything is about what I speak and all the personality that I've gathered when I was a child, because I did not look quote unquote pretty. I was not the pretty girl. That really helps now, because now I can turn up in a pajama and t-shirt, or I can turn up in whatever clothes I want, but it's my choice. So, and I think that shouldn't be limited only to one particular job or one particular career. You can look like whatever you want, as long as you are doing justice to whatever you have chosen to do. So
has comedy set you free from that self-loathing of your body?
In so many ways, it genuinely has, in so many ways. And I know that it's a negative cycle also. I'm aware of that. I think जब मैंने comedy शुरू किया था, I was very, very harsh on myself. And I used to do the self-deprecating jokes are just a lot. And I'm not taking a idealistic stand here. Is that, let me put it like this, ki some corporate shows or some shows when I do it for companies and vice presidents, like some 50 men have called me to do comedy. I don't know why. Every time I get this inquiry, I'm like, aapne mujhe hi bulana tha, aap kisi aur ko bulane wale the. So whenever I do in front of them, I know that the sexist jokes work. And I know I need to do that. And that used to bother me so much before. I used to take it so personally. But now I'm like, this has nothing to do with me. This has everything to do with you and how you view a woman speaking. So I'm very I feel sorry for those people. So that's why now in my public show, I'm very clear that my self-deprecation has nothing to do with me cracking a joke on myself and therefore you feeling pitiful, but about hopefully something that you're feeling and both of us are resonating about it.
So basically, it's the sexist glance of others that you're actually capturing through that comedy.
I'm an absolute fan of yours. I love your comedy, but I've been told, so I myself am a big girl as well. And many times I've been told I have a big personality. That causes me to demotivate myself, like, okay, I'm already big. I also have a big personality. People are going to judge me 100%. In the start, it wasn't a lot, but when your own family members have told you that, just like put me down to a point where I'm like at the ground levels where I cannot go up. Like I'm in quicksand.
Yeah.
I just keep on going down. No matter how much I try, I cannot go up. You said you yourself recently have started to like not care about what people say, like be yourself. How do you do that? Because I have been trying to do that for like many years. Being bullied for like half of my life. I've been doing that for many years. I just don't know how to do it.
No, actually, I completely understand what you're going through. You will
And
not.
it's okay. Firstly, Akshita,
Yeah, please.
it's okay to feel shitty about it. It really is okay to feel shitty and angry about it.
Yeah.
It really is. Okay, Smokey, go ahead. Sorry.
So
Yeah.
right. I know it. I'm glad you said that, because actually, let me put it like this: is that and maybe I'm sounding philosophical. The fact that you are a big girl and have a big personality is the best part of us. We are a big girl we are unstoppable. The whole thing comes down to they don't know what to do with us. That's what it is. They're like, अब तुम्हें कहाँ fit करें हम? And we are very like, तुम्हें fit करने की जरूरत नहीं है दोस्त. I can figure out myself. So, I'm not going to say that it's going to be a rosy, a way forward. And I still don't have. Let me tell you that, like 2 days back, I had my crying session of like, what am I doing? And I got some audition that I did for a character, and I have this chul in me that whenever they tell me to come and do it for the best friend, मैं कभी best friend का role का audition नहीं करती. I always go and do the audition for the lead. The lead is a skinny girl. I'm like, what will you do? One day you'll do something, right? One day you'll respond. And I remember doing that. And usually it's all funny. But, 2-3 days back, it really hurt me. Where I'm like, you will never consider like my body type to be regularized. It is insane. So it is going to be a roller coaster. But in the bigger picture, your big personality and the big girlness is going to rocket forward. So do not let anyone tell you otherwise. And I know that, and it's also that we expect our families to be on our side. Honestly, they don't know better. They genuinely don't. They don't know what to do with us. Like I understand all the bullying that my mother did. I don't think she did it because she does not like me. I think she was just like, I'm prepping you for what's out in the outside, out of the world. So agar main nahi kar diya, so you'll learn better. And a lot of parents or a lot of family members don't understand that can also be counterproductive. But
Yeah.
like,
and your mom has been a big part of you've almost penciled her into your sketches.
Yeah.
And I want to talk a little bit more about that. But first to Akshita, big hugs, okay? Big hugs for big girls who will make big impact, right?
Akshita, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I recently turned 15.
Oh my God, you are going to be, I'm not kidding. I'm genuinely not kidding. Just hold on to your horses, believe in yourself. The big girl boss, big personality, people are going to be begging to have that. Like now I see this where people are like, Sumukhi, and I know how it sounds like, Sumukhi, how can we be more like you? I'm like, man, I can't believe you're asking me this because I never wanted to be me. And I'm so glad I'm me. So just don't lose faith in yourself. I know it's a very easy sentence to say, but it's such a huge emotion. It takes time. You're 15, when you are going to turn 21, 22, or when you're going to find your path, it's going to be glorious. I'm not joking. And also it can be multiple paths. Like that's also a thing about big girls. I mean, I don't know. I'm sort of stereotyping ourselves. I don't know why. We experimented with everything until we
That's very
out,
true.
That's
very true.
Do it. Just do it, because you're a hustler, you have a big personality, you will go everywhere. It's for sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
I see another question. So before I come back to my own questions, I'm going to bring Raina in. Raina, go ahead.
Hi. So I'm as well 15, and I'm also a really big fan of you and your comedy. Your personality and your advice really inspires me as a person. I used to be a big girl too, and I was actually quite bullied a lot because of it when I was like very young. And that forced me to work on myself. And I think I'm pretty proud of how far I've gotten because of that. And I feel like I've seen and heard a lot of stories where people are so accepting of themselves, and you're one of them. And I saw how, that inspires me to be more accepting of myself and proud of where I've come so far. And I just wanted to say that you're
Can I ask you before Sumukhi responds, what was the toughest part for you, Raina, to accept yourself? Was it your friends? Was it your family? Was it what you saw on Instagram?
Not really that much. It was mostly, I would say social media did play quite a big part, but it was mostly just me creating delusions in my head. Like if I'd walk past like a more skinny looking girl when I was small, and I would say, wow, I wish I could be that. I wish I could rock that top. I wish I could be myself like in her body. But I was always scared of like, imagine like going to the gym. Like I'm so scared, like they're gonna look at me and be like, how is this girl like starting to go to the gym? And that's so like how could you go to the gym? And then once I just started just pushing myself out there, I was very proud because I know how hard I've worked to get myself where I am today. And that's why both of you are such inspirations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sumukhi, I have a question before you respond to Raina, and there are lots of hands going up. But you make it seem easy today. But I know you remember those times, you've already alluded to them, when you wouldn't speak. But it isn't only about body size, right? We're conditioned in so many other ways to apologize. We're socialized into thinking, ye hamara kaam hai, ye kisi aur ka kaam hai, ye ladkon ka kaam hai. We've been talking all morning about that. Do you have that one memory that never leaves you of being bullied?
There are two of them actually. It's not one of them, of course, was to do with my mind, and the other was to my body. And I'm gonna choose the mind one. Is that I remember, and it was my mom and it was my father who was starting a business, and my mom had pushed him to start that business. And I remember I was fairly young. I think I was in 6th grade or something. And mere muh se nikal gaya. But I'm like, but that's not a good businessman. I don't think he's meant for this. And I remember getting slapped for that, saying that why would you say that? Like, why would you start something on a negative note? He's starting something new. And that memory is so clear with me is because I started my own company about a year and a half ago. And the reason is because I think from then till now, and a lot of women don't, when boys or men are very young and they have a streak about them in business or in something they do, and you're glorified, you're like, oh my God, wo bachpan se hi aisa tha. Virat Kohli wo to paida hi bat se hua tha. But agar kisi ladki ko bol do ki, Sumukhi had a streak of business from the beginning, you're like, aise thodi na chalta hai. Ye to bhi zyada hi denge mare. But actually, I think I did have a sense of entrepreneurship, a sense of networking, and a sense of sales from the beginning. And I think that particular memory really played out to me starting my own company, where I'm like, no, I think I'm going to because the one thing that I'm very clear about is I don't know if I'll be the best comedian, I don't know if I'll be the best actor or writer, but I know that I want to set a legacy behind. And I want to bet on myself. So what will happen maximum?
Yeah, so but this is kind of a good memory eventually. Is it a really terrible one?
No, it's not a terrible one. I think it's sort of a clarity that came in. And I think it sort of fulfilled itself when I remember registering my company that, oh, okay, I think it got ingested in your head then, where, because my mom was like, one of my brothers is a lot like her father, who used to be a very prolific businessman. And she kept saying that, tumhara bhai waisa, tumhara bhai waisa. I'm like, actually, nahi, I think मैं नाना जी की तरह हूँ, मुझे धंधा आता है. I actually know how to do business, and I enjoy. Actually, I don't know if I'm good or bad. I enjoy doing sales and marketing and selling my products. And I'm a big. I didn't study it, but I'm such a. I will read every sales and business book around.
Wow.
Because I'm so excited to build that. It also comes down to that, no, because we're all joining other people's communities and jobs. Imagine if we have our own jobs and communities, then we are not an outcast anywhere. So that's where it started.
I have hands coming up for you, but I have one question. We were talking before about humor and how we respond if we hear a really crass sexist joke. A lot of personal stories were shared, but most people said that even when they want to tell somebody to shut up, they don't, because they don't want to be stereotyped as a hypersensitive girl, right? What is the most sexist joke that you've heard cracked about you?
Oh my God. Actually, I remember it was a show in Coimbatore that I was doing. It was a corporate show. And I remember I finished and I did terribly. I went in between two boys, and I don't think that audience was ready for anything, let alone a female comic. And I remember going and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a terrible experience. But I'm like, no, I'm going to power through. I'm going to do my 30 minutes. I finished my 30 minutes, got off stage, and I was just standing. And then everyone said hello, hi, etc., etc. And I didn't leave. I never leave. I was like, no, I'll let you network and go. God knows, one person will like me. I'll give him my visiting card. So I was still standing there. Then one gentleman came up to me. He's like, so glad, no, this is your hobby. Thank God this is your hobby, because finally you have to settle down. Then thank God husband will take care of it. Then you can continue this hobby. I'm like, oh my God.
And what did you say? How did you respond?
I think it was very insulting for him, but I laughed really loudly. I think my laugh was too boisterous and too mocking.
Yeah.
went very name, मैं सच बोल रहा हूँ. I'm like, uncle आप क्या बोल रहे हो यार, कुछ भी बोल रहे हो तो आप.
You know, I remember once interviewing Hillary Clinton, and she said, they'll pick on women for anything. They even pick on me for how loudly I laugh. So
Yeah.
loud laughs remind me of that. People
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
like
yeah.
girls laughing loudly. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
laugh even louder
Correct.
after that.
Exactly.
Right?
Abhi, laughing now, we have to, we have to stop
Yeah.
somewhere where we have to
Correct.
yeah.
Correct.
I have to say something about the business thing. Again, Sumukhi, really big fan of your work.
Thank you.
But yeah, so I remember it was this family meet thing that we had, and someone said, I have an older brother, so someone said, I think she's gonna do better than her brother in business or something like that. And I remember my grandmom saying, huh, how can she, like, she's a girl, like, I get that she can do business, but then how will she be better than her brother? And I think that kind of brought me down, and I was like, if my grandmom thinks that way, then how can I, like?
I mean, I don't you think Shambhavi, your grandma will definitely think like that? I'm just gonna take a sort of a detour here in terms of a thought process, and I may be wrong. Is that I feel like our previous generation and the generation before that, especially women, were really underutilized. And I think that really, and now that they see us being utilized the way we are and us using our skills, as much as they're very supportive, it does hurt them. Where they're like, man, even I had these skills. What about me? So I think
And even I had these dreams. Even I had
Yeah.
dreams that I could never pursue.
Yeah, and I think they end up projecting a lot on us. I'm not saying that you have to accept that, but I think just be aware of the fact that the person in front is not commenting on whether you can do business or not. Maybe it's a projection of इससे थोड़ी ना हो जाएगा. अगर इससे हो गया तो मुझसे भी हो गया रहता. And but then then your grandmother was a victim of her own situation and her own circumstance, and she couldn't do it. Secondly, and I think but this is something a lot of us need to learn, is that and I'm learning still, is that we really get bogged down by failure. It's also because we have a pressure of succeeding all the time. Every time we make an attempt, we're like, hum sari ladkiyon ke liye kar rahe hain. I agree. Yes, I agree that pressure is there. But if we are not allowed to fail, we will not get better at it. It is impossible. And boys have failed time and again, and they have bounced back. It's also because they've been taught to be free. वो जब बाहर खेलने गए तो उनको वापस आने का टाइम नहीं मिला. But you went out and you are given a time to be back by 7, be back by 8 because it's safer. So your mind is already very restricted that no, Sumukhi, don't do it. Maybe you won't be able to do it. But it's an improv policy where I'm doing myself, is that when you do an improv scene, and if Bharka has given me a suggestion and she starts the scene, it is my job to yes and her thought. So just yes and to yourself and see where it's going. But don't, if you're going to keep, if everyone else around you, especially family, is going to be a yardstick of who you are, it's a major uphill task.
But then I remember my mom and my dad saying, no, she can do it. Like, she has the thing.
Oh,
but then I
man.
remember my grandma was like, but again, like, she has a brother. Like, he needs to do it before her, and he needs to be better than her. And that was kind of something. And growing up with a grandmom, I don't know if you like experienced this, but she kept making this comment on me, ye to sukh gayi hai. Like, every time I used to go home, like, and that used to like really bother me, being someone in middle school and dealing with everything else and that. So
no, it's also voice of negative. It's the troll thing, na? Like Instagram pe 10 people tell you look great, and then that one person's like, bhais lag rahi hai, and then you're like, usne kyun bola ye? So, but since I mean, that's
and the sad thing is that 11th comment will stay with you, not the 10 that are saying good things.
Yeah. But it's also because I have a feeling, and maybe this is my understanding, is that we are also sort of looking to be like, listen, I want that one reason which will be the reason why I failed. So, and I think which is slightly ingrained to us because we're very, some of us at least are very cautious about our decision making and things. And especially if you're looking to do business, then you should tell your grandmother, I completely agree. Bhai to bahut acha karega. And then the pressure is on bhai, and you have emotionally manipulated the whole situation, where now brother has full pressure saying that, oh my god, mujhe to dhanda karna bhi nahi aata, and you're like, nahi bhaiya hi layenge ab to profit, hum to nahi layenge. Ab kya hoga batao. So then now the pressure is off you. You can do whatever you want. And I know I think that's how I use humor to my advantage, but it also stays in my head saying that nani/dadi ruko, main aati hu.
Yeah. I want to bring in Samika.
So like recently, my parents, they let, so I have two siblings, and they let all three of us do whatever we want to do. But my grandmother, the other day, she was like trying to force me to do engineering or be a doctor or a lawyer because both my parents are lawyers. And I was so surprised because I really didn't think she would make me do that. Like, she was also a working woman, and my mom's a working woman too. And I see how she gives my mom such a hard time if my mom's like traveling. They travel a lot on work. So like I was really, really surprised when she was trying to make me like do the stereotypical Indian jobs. And I'm like a very creative person. So yeah.
Let's take that to talk a little bit about Sumukhi's transition into comedy. I mean, this is now your profession. It wasn't always your profession, right? And like many of us, you probably have multiple dreams. Some people have a singular passion. I think I have maybe two: journalism and the law degree, by the way, Samika, that I never got. But journalism I love, and I'm lucky enough to do what I love. And I can see on Sumukhi's bright eyes that she does what she loves. But there must have been other things you loved, or did you find yourself in that space because that was the conventional route to go?
You know, with me, no one really had an expectation because I think it had got to do with because my eldest brother was responsible for managing to get that engineering degree, go to the US and get that dollar to take care of our debt. And I think my second brother was aiding him. So somehow, I think in the chaos, my dream sort of got lost. And also, I think I was growing up, I was just very busy taking care of the house. Yeah. So I never really, that never came. But all I knew at the age of 16 or 17 is that I want to get out of the house. I'm done. Like, I'm done with this life. I'm done with this managing the house. This cannot, not that it's wrong, but it's just that I'm like, मैं थक गई थी. I was like, you know, what else is there for me? And I remember that was my core thing, that I want to leave. And I did everything. You know, even now, if you call my mother, she's very upset because मैं झूठ बोल के निकली थी. Actually,
what do you mean jhoot bol ke?
because I'd applied for a college in Chennai, and I hadn't told my mother, and the admission, the entrance exam letter came, and unfortunately I was not home, and she got it, and I was like, oh my God, and that was a huge issue. And then she was like, you know what, go give entrance. See, I'm sure you're not gonna get it. I was like, okay, might as well. I went, I gave the entrance, and I remember giving her entrance and immediately telling my HOD, can you correct my paper now? I mean, at that time, I didn't know she was my HOD. I said, can you correct my paper now? She was very startled. I said, see, I'm from Nagpur. I'm North Indian, South Indian. Your college, you know, the whole, it'll be such a variation, you know, right? That North person has come and I'm a South Indian actually. But then she finished correcting and she's like, we need to do an interview. I said, you can ask me whatever you want. I'm ready. And she was too startled. She sent me to vice principal. I figured out my admission. And I ran to the hostel. They recommended some hostel. I got hostel admission. And my father was around with me. And somehow he didn't ask me anything. But basically, I got admission and I got into my hostel. My father had borrowed money. We paid up all of that. I said, whatever remaining money you have, you give it to me. I will buy clothes for myself for college and I will repay you one day. And I went back home and my mother had no clue I did this. And then she didn't speak to me until I left. And even now, if you go ask her, she's like, you didn't tell me and you left. But the best decision I took, because I took a bet on myself. I think my dream came in much later because I think I was trying and testing. I was a librarian for a bit. I worked as a chef for a bit. I worked in a food lab for a bit. I ran a bakery for a bit. The only intention by the end of it is that, Sumukhi, can you survive the month? Can you make enough money? Because you cannot ask back home. And I think with all of this, improv and stand-up just happened. And then suddenly I'm like, this is it. I think this is it. I'm going to do this. And if not this, then I'll find something else. Even now, if you ask me, saying, Sumukhi, is stand-up and comedy your end goal? I don't know. High chances I will be a classical singer at the age of 45.
Good for you. There's not one dream that we have to pursue. I want to ask you something. Share with us, you know, how you penciled your parents and your mom in particular into your comedy, and how she responded to being the joke in your performance. And if you can share like maybe a little joke that you cracked about her.
You know, my first special is called Don't Tell Amma, which is literally, you know, I mean, I think I have a sense of, because the relationship with my mother has been much better now. It's also because, you know, she was busy. Yeah, she really did manage the household. She didn't get a chance to develop that bond with me. And I'm so much like her. Like, I'm so much like her, and I'm so glad I am, because her work ethic is outstanding. I mean, if she had the opportunities and the amount of, I think, what I'm facing right now, she would have reached the stars because she has such a fabulous personality. And I think I have understanding of it now. I think there was a lot of hate relationship in the early 20s, and which sort of translated itself in, in Don't Tell Amma, because it's very simple. Like, for example, I remember telling in Don't Tell Amma that there is this thing a lot of girls do, is that you step out and you never really tell your parents where you're going. Okay. And then you are going for that club or that one evening or a dinner. And I have told always my mother that मैं 9 बजे घर आ जाती हूँ वापस. So when my mother's calling at 9 o'clock, I run to the bathroom. I just run to the ladies' room. I shut myself in a corner so that it sounds like, I'm in the middle of my cover. I'm like, "Ha ma, Ilma, I call you later," and I'm not. And the best part is, I thought I was being such a great actor. My mother knew. She knew.
Of course.
Exactly.
And they've all done their own versions of rebellion
exactly.
and playing truant. Okay, we have about a few minutes left with Sumukhi, and I want to do this sort of prompt. I want to do a prompt, not a very surprising one you've probably done lots of times in your own sketches.
Okay.
Sumukhi, don't be like a girl, yeah.
I won't be like a girl. I'll actually be like a woman, because now I'm a woman. Thank you so much. That was good advice, actually.
Okay. Don't be like a woman then.
Don't be like a woman. You're right. I am more girly. Now I'll go back to being a girl. That's better.
Okay, you're too clever for me.
No, I'm not.
But the serious question is this. When young girls, right? You're 35 today. I am above 50. I'm 51. These are 15, 16, 13, 14. Do you remember that time? What would you tell your 15-year-old self today?
Oh, I would tell her to be patient. I would tell her to be, I would tell her that there are such big things waiting for her. I would tell her that freedom awaits her. I would tell her self-reliance awaits her. I would tell her, complaining about paying the rent awaits her, but then that's a beautiful feeling that you paid from your own money. And I would definitely tell her that a boy's attention is not the entirety of your life, or whoever, your partner's attention, whoever whatever your preference is. I'm not saying that's not important, but I think loving yourself is such a large task. To start loving yourself now, just do 1% a year. That's it. Yeah. You can't do 2%, 5%. That's fine. Baby steps. Love something about yourself this year and add to it the next year. So that at 35, I don't have to go through the whole, it's one of those things you keep putting it like last mein karenge assignment, last mein karenge, and then you're like, oh my God, sorry, assignment pending hai. So I wish that self-love is that assignment that you write one line every day, so that it becomes a really beautiful essay by much later.
Is there a difference in how women do comedy and how men do comedy? And I ask you this because, let me just explain my question. Because women have been at the receiving end of such terrible humor all of our lives. Does it make women approach the purpose of comedy somewhat differently? Is there more rebellion in female comedy? Is there more irreverence in female comedy? Is there something different about you and, let's say, a peer who's a guy who's doing the same thing?
100%. There actually 200% there is. I agree. There is, I think, rebellion in it. I think there is a certain amount of a want, a sarcasm, a passive aggressiveness. I mean, I'm talking about my comedy for sure. I think in the beginning, it was a lot to do with just being sarcastic, and my anger was like caustic. And like Behti Naak is a character that I do. She's my favorite. She's an 11-year-old girl who is the spitfire. And I think she was my response to all the things, all the bullying that I was, sort of told. But I think a comedy that women do, the premise is most of the premises that you first do are things that you're not allowed to do, which is what a lot of people have a problem with, saying that, oh, why do women talk about these topics all the time? Is because imagine we have not been allowed that for so long. And the thing is, tell me the last time a boy was not allowed to do something, which is why their comedy seems so quote unquote freeing, or quote unquote more rich, which is ridiculous. Honestly, I don't believe in that. And I don't think a lot of male comics also believe in that. Male comics are not thinking so much. Male comics are like, ye hamara premise hai, ye hum jo ke hum karke nikal rahe hain. But you are in the center of the attention when you are a comedian who is a woman, whose premises are, closely looked into. It's also because I've noticed this, a lot of comments or a lot of audience members, especially men, are like, ye kar sakti to main bhi kar sakta hu na. Tujhse se zyada main funny hu. To bhai kar le. No problem. Please get on stage. Please do it. So comedy has nothing to do with your art, not only the act of doing the joke, it's also implementing it and working on it.
Yeah.
So, which sort of people forget. So 100% different, good amount of rebellion and also good amount of empathy. I do think that, and like my second special that I'm doing now, Hormonal, which is, I think I'm being way more empathetic to myself and I'm so happy that my TG or the audience that comes in are almost like 80% is women.
Yeah.
In fact, now I've reached a stage where I'm like, if boys don't want to watch my comedy, I'm absolutely fine. There is a half other population that is spending and I can make money using those ticket sales. The boys don't, because also, things, media and content is also controlled by that. No, saying that ladko ko kya dekhna hai, uske hisab se apna content banao. I refuse that. I think especially like Motormouth, one of the main things that I have told to any of my writers is that we will write a character that is woman as of now, other genders whenever I get the expertise, which will be soon. But until then, it'll be a female lead. She'll be flawed, she'll be funny, she'll be wrong, she'll be right, she'll be everything, because it's time. Otherwise, who is making content for us? No one. Then that's not done. So,
absolutely. Any thoughts and any questions that you want to put to Smokey before we say thank you to her, Mritika? I'm going to call on you. What were you thinking when you were listening to Smokey?
I think so I'm gonna be honest, right? I don't really understand Hindi. But
That's okay.
Based of like what I understood, it's just, she taught me that I'm 13 right now, and it may seem like the people around me are annoying, or like I'm like insecure of myself or like body image and all that. But patience is probably like, there's probably a good future ahead of me with like she said, with like something I'm passionate about, and I think I just have to like be patient for now.
I just want to add that yes, patience, but you don't have to be tolerant all the time. Like, just make sure that you don't have to be tolerant to bad behavior. You don't have to be tolerant to bullying. But for yourself, your own self, patience, definitely. But never ever accept bad behavior. Please start calling it out now only. Likeable people. I'm not even saying women. Unlikability is a huge...
Because unlikability is about not tailoring yourself to other people's expectation of who you should be.
Yeah. I mean, and unlikability, I know, comes with a certain amount of arrogance. So as long as we are aware that, okay, if I'm in the wrong, I also have to have the humility to apologize. So as long as these core values are sort of, they never set and they never just get implemented, as long as it's part of our regular routine. So patience, I 100% vouch for that, but never tolerance to things that trigger you.
Okay, thank you, Smokey. Are you not going to leave us with something to laugh about? We've had a very intense conversation with you.
Okay, cool. Okay, first of all, I've had a great time. I'm actually going to be telling you guys, let me tell you something that happened to me. How do I put this? Okay, during the pandemic, my parents, I'm going to leave with my parents only. Okay, I think, because why not? I remember, I don't know if you guys, how many of you guys were living with your folks, right, during the pandemic? Everyone was looking at their folks.
Yes.
So I lived alone. So I wanted to go back and meet my mom. I was really, at that time I was like, oh my God, I really miss her and all of that. And I remember I'm 35 now. And, in my head, I keep thinking my parents want to see me. They're just every day wake up and they're like, where is Sumukhi? If she's not there, I guess we're going to spend our day like that, which is not the case. So as you grow older and you leave your parents, they are done with you. They are like, bye. We are hanging out ourselves. You are part of our hangout now. So I remember going to my mom wearing one PP kit in the, in the plane. And I remember also walking in very like, the kids are like, oh my God, Teletubby, don't worry. I also attacked them saying, oh my God, no vaccine. So they believe that has changed. And I remember going back home and I was like, Mom, I miss you so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to stay here for like a week. She's like, a week? Wait, week is this? Yeah, oh, cool, we'll figure out. So I'm just saying that right now, if you feel like your parents are in your space, you wait to grow up. They'll be like, bye, please leave. Do not come back. So yeah.
Well, Suki, please come back to us. We will always love you. We will always welcome you. Thank you. Thank you very
Thank you so
much.
much.
It's been absolutely delightful. I know this is this online format, but we can show some love to Suki by saying thank you. We loved you, and keep making us laugh and keep knocking it to them, however many thems it takes, and waiting for. In 10 years from now, I'm coming to your classical music concert.
Thank you.
So I'm going to hold you to that. Thank you so much,
Guys,
Suki.
have a great day. And you guys, oh my, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Okay, this is just a small little scene
Thank you.
in a huge movie that's going to have a great ending. So yeah.
Thank you. Bye, Suki. Take care.
Bye.